Hello, everybody. We're here for Tuesday Talks. Now, Tuesday Talks is all about getting to know an individual, getting to work out what makes them tick, what do they care about, and how their career reflects that. Today's guest is Miriam. Now, Miriam is a caregiver for her husband and her brother. She had a burnout while taking care of her at the time boyfriend, but she chose to get out of the Burnout City and transformed herself into a caregiver 2.0. No, she also has a book called Caregiver 2.0, From Burnout to Powerhouse. Let's invite Miriam on and hear all her journey about it. Hi,
Hey,
Miriam. How are you doing?
I am doing great. How are you doing?
I am doing fantastic. Thank you very much for taking the time out and hopping on to Tuesday Talks.
Yeah, it's awesome. I am so happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me, by the way.
You're welcome. You've got such an amazing journey, and I was like, we need to share this with everybody else.
Thank
So, and here we are. This was planned quite a while back, right?
3 months ago or so, February in
That
Dubai.
that that is correct. We met in Dubai. Exactly. And we were like, we need to do this. So, and finally, we are doing this now. I've done a short introduction for you already. I don't know if you got to hear that, but you're the best person to expand onto that and let everybody know what you do, who you are. And the biggest question that will kick off this conversation of ours will be, why do you do it, Miriam?
Yeah. So, my name is Meriam Boldewijn. I'm a wife, I'm an author, I'm a coach, and I'm also the caregiver to my brother and my husband. So that's quite a lot. So yeah.
Wow, that is quite a lot. That is quite a lot. So, um, and take us through the journey then. Obviously, I think with the why, we'll understand that why, because we can see the caregiving side will come across. Why
Absolutely.
did you had that burnout from caregiving and forth? Yeah. So just take us through. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So allow me to share my story in a couple of minutes. I met my husband in 1998. And at the age of 28, session, you want to go to the club, hang out with friends, do fun stuff. But we weren't even dating for a year. And he was a diabetic, and I knew that. And he started suffering from kidney failure. And I was like, what is that? What is that? I didn't know anything. So for 4 years, it was hospital in, hospital out.
Wow.
And Miriam wasn't taking good care of herself. Miriam had her superhero cape on. And she thought, "Oh, I can do the caregiving alone. I don't need help from others. No, what will they think of me if I ask for help?"
Mm.
So he had a kidney-pancreas transplant surgery. And Sishan, I remember the day the social worker in the hospital asked me a simple question. "Miriam, how are you doing?" And then
Mm.
I broke. I cried and sobbed like a child for 15 minutes. And I was mad at myself because I didn't want my boyfriend, because we weren't married yet.
Mm.
I didn't want my boyfriend to see me like that, a vulnerable Miriam. He was in the hospital. The next day, we had a conversation, and I said, his name is Martin, by the way. And I said, I need to take some time off. I need a break. Because if I don't take a break right now, I don't know what's going to happen to me.
Mm.
So I was born in Suriname, South America. So I went home, and when my mom saw me, she said, "My child, you need to rest." Session, in those 7 days, I wrote a lot. I thought a lot. I had a lot of conversations with Miriam, like, what are you going to do for yourself? You are worthy of a wonderful life too. So when I came back, I had a conversation with Martin again. And I said, I have to do something, because if something happens to me, who will take care of you? I need to put the oxygen mask first, like the airplane, right? So
Yes.
I didn't know where to start. I didn't know what self-care was. I just did something. I started practicing meditation, and I was like, what am I doing? I couldn't concentrate. Anyways, I started doing things I didn't even know what I was doing, but I started anyway. And I slowly got out of Burnout City. Slowly, slowly, slowly. It took me months. And there were days when I was feeling great, but there were also days when I was feeling miserable.
Mm.
But I got out of Burnout City. And thanks to the techniques and tools I learned then, it happened in 2003, by the way, I was able to prevent another burnout in 2010 when I was at the office, and my husband, Martin, called me and he asked me, Meriam, please, can you call Patrick? That's my brother. And I said, why I'm at the office? And he said, please, I'm driving to his home right now. And when I called my brother and I heard how he was speaking, I hung up within 5 seconds. He had a stroke while I
Wow.
was on the phone. Every time I tell this story, I'm like, oh my gosh. He was 46. He was partially paralyzed. He couldn't talk. He couldn't walk. He didn't remember my name. He didn't remember his kid's name.
Wow.
We celebrated his 47th birthday in the ICU with him. And I felt all those emotions again. I felt the anger, the fear of losing someone, or the possibility of losing someone. I felt the guilt when taking time for myself again.
Mm-hmm.
And I remembered the day when I promised myself, when I had burnout, Meriam, you will never, ever, ever go to Burnout City again. And I started practicing taking better care of myself again. And this is how I could prevent another burnout.
Mm.
Today, both of these wonderful men are doing great. My brother, his right arm isn't functioning, but he can walk and talk again.
Wow. That's good to hear.
Yeah. So this is my journey, and I literally turned my pain into my purpose.
I love that. I love that, and love the part that you just shared there at the end. You know, so using that pain as fuel to power you to move forward, and take on whatever that it was in front of you, right? So you're using that pain as a fuel rather than going into what you generally find is into a victimhood mind, and saying, "Oh, why me? Why?" Because that's what generally you see, and sometimes it's not the person's fault who falls into that victimhood mode. It's just how the society has portrayed everything around us, right? If you're watching, I don't know, nothing against these TV shows and everything like that, but if you're watching these things, that's what they show you there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The only person that's successful is the main character who's the hero, right? And he doesn't have any problem. He doesn't have those kind of problems. But the rest of the characters who are suffering and going through all these trauma are going into victimhood. And what happens is, because we are everyday people, we end up relating to that everyday characters in the movie.
Yeah.
And because we don't think of ourselves as a hero, as the main character of the movie. And I love that you thought of yourself as the main character of your movie, as the hero, and fuel yourself with that power that you was around you already,
Yeah.
to catapult yourself and take yourself out of that burnout city into the powerhouse that it became after. So expand a little bit more. So since you pivoted. I know you have an amazing book out as well, which I am holding here at the moment. So you got the where is it? Here we are. Caregiver 2.0 from Burnout to Powerhouse. It's an amazing book. I'm halfway through it, and there's some amazing chapters in there. But I would love to ask the author itself to bring up one of their favorite chapters, if they don't mind, and tell us what it means, from your own mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would love to share with you also. It is so funny. There are no coincidences. I don't believe there are coincidences. I met a friend online, and I was telling her my story, just like I shared just now. And session, I was so busy. It was a Zoom call, and I was so busy talking, and I wasn't paying attention to my screen while I was talking. And when I finally looked up, I saw that she had tears in her eyes. And I said,
Wow.
"Oh, I'm so sorry. It wasn't my intention to make you cry. Maybe I should write a book." And she said, "Well, this is exactly what I wanted to ask you, and I would be honored because I am a writing coach. I would be honored to guide you." And I said, "No way. Who would want to know my story?" She said, "No, I'm serious, Miriam. I'm serious. I want to help you write this book." And this is how Miriam started writing Caregiver 2.0 from Burnout to Powerhouse. And this all happened in August 2020. And in June of 2021, I self-published Caregiver 2.0 from Burnout to Powerhouse.
Wow.
And I did. So I'm going to read a few lines from this book, this wonderful book. We think of possibilities in moments of crisis, pandemic, or emergency. Why? Because of the energy. We know we have to do something. What if we made a habit of thinking about possibilities when we are calm, going to bed at night or in the morning, instead of when we are freaking out and saying, "What can I do to solve this problem?" It's so amazing to meditate on the idea of possibility. My brother Patrick had a severe stroke that left him almost incapacitated. He could no longer do his daily functions. And there was a time when I had to shower him every day in the hospital. I had never seen him in his full glory before. It left us both feeling embarrassed. We have a tendency to feel a little awkward inside. When posed with something so delicate and intimate, we can sometimes shy away, although we know the importance of it for the greater good. I can still see him lying in that bed and not being able to walk or talk. The nurses could freshen him up every day, but could shower him only once a week. They did what they could for their patients in the short amount of time they had. And since I've always had a good relationship with him, I asked him if he was okay with me showering him. He mumbled something and looked away. I could see that he felt uncomfortable, and I understood. He had to put aside his dignity because his situation called for it.
Wow. That's already so. It's yeah. I'm in awe already. That's an amazing paragraph that you just read there. That few lines can already give away so much of the story there. It's such an amazing book. People who are now listening to this live on Instagram or listening to this as podcast version later on in a few months, I would 100% recommend to go and get this book because it is moving. It will get you to find your power, because we do also caregive on a daily basis, no matter how small or big that is. That's what it made me realize when I was reading it, and that the small gestures that we are doing for each and every one in the world, whether that's our loved one closer to us or friends a bit more far apart, we are still caring and giving what we can. And this, listening to this paragraph that you just shared, thank you very much, is just taking me aback again. Just hearing from you now, the second time now, hearing from you, first time obviously when I read it, I would love to understand but your version of, I know you've just read that, but it would be great to get a summary of what should people take away from what you just read, because everybody would be thinking something different. But what was your story behind it? We know, with that paragraph.
Yeah, there are a couple of things. First of all, this can happen to anyone, right? There are only 4 kinds of people on this planet: people who were a caregiver, who are one now, who will be one, and who will need one. So are the 4 people on this planet. And this story is to create awareness. Like, this can happen to you. It can happen to your loved one. You can be in the subway. It happens to someone. There will be embarrassment, right? When you take care of your loved one. Do you have siblings, Sishan?
Yes, I have. Yes.
Imagine taking care of your sister, someone you're not used to see every day in her full glory. It's awkward. And I remember the first time I had to shower him, I kept telling myself that his hygiene was a top priority. And I was so convinced, I was so sure that it would speed his recovery. And I was so driven to shower him every day. And this is one of the takeaways, I hope, for everyone who's listening to this podcast. Don't let embarrassment stop you from helping a loved one, from making sure that their hygiene it's so important. And communicate with them. Tell them, even though it feels awkward, just share with them what you feel, how you feel, so they know, especially when they can't talk, because he couldn't talk. He couldn't express his feelings.
Wow, that's an amazing takeaway for anybody who is listening to this now. So, and I'm kind of speechless already for that. I have no, in my mind is blank at the moment. It's like I cannot ask any more questions in regarding this, because it's already been it's so big.
Yeah.
It's bigger than us, and you've already mentioned there. And when you were asking me the question, I was actually thinking similar, and you voiced it, and I was like, yeah, or vice versa, if she has to look after me, it's wow. Yeah. So,
and sorry to interrupt you, this is exactly why I share my story. In the beginning, I didn't know how to share my story. That's one thing. And the other thing is, just like I mentioned before, I said, who would want to read my story? Who would want to know this? Once my book was published, I was blown away by the amount of people, by the amount of caregivers and non-caregivers who said, this is so relatable. This is exactly what I'm going through. This is what I'm experiencing right now. And the non-caregivers were like, oh my goodness, did you do that?
It's another.
How did?
Yeah, it's another it's a total different perspective that the non-caregivers don't get to see, right? Because you're just a timely person that just appears for a moment, momentarily, and then disappears. And where the caregivers is there 24/7 is their situation, And I love that. I'm sorry to interrupt you. You were saying some more.
No, yeah, this. So that's what I wanted to share with you, and this is exactly why I said this is so important. This is so important to share worldwide what we are going through, and I say we because we are in this together. And I mean all of the caregivers around the world. I mean, in the USA alone, there are, I think, 53 million caregivers.
Wow, that's quite a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just brings back to that fact that you just shared at the beginning as well, that we are one of the four in that caregiving category. We are either the caregivers, we are either the one who's going to receive it, or we are either the person who's going to experience it, or we are getting ready to be giving the care in the future, right? So we're falling into one of those categories, whether we like it or not. The future is coming, and you know you're ready. So for this, and I love that you shared the journey, and that's what it's bringing me to. So I want to now spin this to you, because I love that the fact that you shared there was a nurse who asked you, you know, how are you doing, Miriam? And obviously you had, you know, because it was all bottled up,
Mm-hmm.
and it was you were just waiting for someone to obviously unbottle the lid, right? Open that tap, and which happened then, right? So what was the pivotal moment since then? What kind of things that you decided to do so that, you know, you were able to look after yourself, get your oxygen mask
Yeah.
first so that you can give the others their oxygen mask?
So I started practicing meditation. I had heard of meditation, but I had no clue what meditation was. So I started reading about meditation. I started journaling, and it cleared my mind. So I started with journaling, meditation. For instance, when I woke up in the morning, I prayed first, and after my prayer, I would practice meditation for 5 minutes. And when I discovered that it brought me peace and ease, I wanted more. So those 5 minutes became 10 minutes. Those 10 minutes became 15 minutes. So journaling and meditation, practicing meditations were the two main things I started with. But then I had to learn how to set healthy boundaries. And that was difficult, especially saying no to my loved ones. That was quite hard. I felt guilty when I said no when they asked me to do something. Today, if my brother or Martin asks me, Miriam, can you help me with something? I ask them, are you dying? If the answer is no, and I've set that time for myself, my me time, then I tell them, I can help you, but at a later moment. So I'm saying no to them, but I'm saying yes to Miriam. Before I could even practice meditation or self-care, I needed to learn how to deal with my limiting beliefs. For instance, what would other people think of me was one of my beliefs. I had to change my mindset. And this is something that took me years, right? To change my mindset, to have more confidence, to know that I am worthy of a wonderful life too. And every time that negative chatter, we all have that negative chatter in the back of our head, right? Whenever that chatter wants to speak, I say, okay, at the back seat. Or I go to the mirror and I literally say, Miriam, do what's best for you. And
I love that.
in the beginning, that felt so awkward. Like, this is for you. And if you feel better, you will be a better caregiver.
I love that. I love that, and that you had to obviously pretty much relearn how to do certain things, right? And obviously not fault of our own. The mindset is one thing that takes longer to work on, just because it has to do a lot of unlearning first. So for example, you know, you've been programmed and you've learned that you need to look out for what other people are thinking. That's therefore you need to be doing this and this and this, so that people have these kind of comments. And now if you're now telling your brain to do something else, it's been like, the brain will be like, well, hang on a minute, you've been doing this for the last 20, 30 odd years.
Yeah.
Why the sudden change? So it finds it difficult to now change the programming again for itself. And it's possible to be done. Again, you just have to be a stronger person. And I love that you mentioned there, you know, you were going to the mirror and giving yourself the affirmation of, you know, this is for you. You can pretty much, you can do this.
Yeah.
And I love that. And because a lot of time, that simple self-talk is needed, you know, because nobody else, and I wanted to point out as well, because what I'm taking away from here as well is that nobody else will come and do it for you. You have to do it for yourself. Even though you are helping others, you know, nobody will come and help you as much as you help yourself.
Yeah, very true. And you just said a word, possible. In my book, I talk about possibilities as well. I needed to learn how to look for possibilities. There was a moment in my life when Martin was on dialysis. So 3 times he was on a machine. And we are addicted to traveling. So the first thing that crossed my mind when I heard that he needed dialysis was, oh my gosh, we can't travel anymore. And I said, wait. Look for possibilities, right? And luckily we could travel. Even though he was on dialysis. So when he had his first surgery, because he needed 2 major surgeries, I will never forget the first night he went to the OR for the first surgery, and my mother-in-law stayed with me. So I woke up at 3 a.m. in the morning, and the surgeon called me at 3:15. And I recognized the number, and I was like, oh my gosh, I wonder how everything went. So when I answered, I said, Meriam speaking. He said, hey, we're done. And he is doing a great job. I hung up. I went to the other room where my mom-in-law was sleeping. She was already awake because she heard the phone ring. We didn't say a word to each other. We just hugged each other, and the tears were flowing. Tears of joy, because after 4 or 5 years of hospital in, hospital out, having surgeries, Martin had so many surgeries that we lost count. We lost. And that's when chapter 2.0 started. Quality of our lives was like, okay, going up. But in the meantime, during those years of many hospital appointments, working full-time, by the way, I was working full-time at that time.
Wow.
Chapter 2.0 started. And we said, okay, we are going to live our life to the max. And in this is also included helping others, both caregivers and non-caregivers who need my help, who need God. I am here. I get you and I got you. And this is something I also say on my website.
I love that, and it also reminds me that I recently saw something that you have created something to now help others as well. Do you mind taking us through that? What that is? I believe it's a coaching program.
Yes, there are two programs that I offer. All that I've learned in the last 20 plus years when it comes to caregiving, I created a 21-day program for caregivers, a do-it-yourself program. The first week is all about awakening. The second week is changing the inner self and finding out who they truly are. And the third week is focusing on well-being. I love that program. It's a 21-day program. Each day they will receive a video, a short video, because caregivers, we are busy.
Yes.
Only the videos last between 2 and 5 minutes. And there are action steps at the end of each video, a beautiful journal so they can keep track and see their progress. So that program is a do-it-yourself for $53 or something. It costs practically nothing. And then there's the 6-week online program where I guide caregivers. Every week we meet for 1 hour. I hold them accountable for something they have promised themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter where they are in their journey. We start where they are. I hold them accountable. I coach them. I guide them. We discover together where there are blockages. And it doesn't matter what kind of blockages, we are there to make sure that there are no blockages and that there is more balance in their life. And balance for Meriam is something else than balance for Sishan.
Of course.
About them, it's not about me. And I love inspiring and motivating people.
I love this that you've expanded onto the both programs, and the 21-day program sounds amazing in terms of, and it's pretty much like a cost of a day out with a friend, right? Yeah, it's a day out and having a lunch. Yeah, exactly. You're going out for lunch with a friend, you end up spending that much. So I would 100% recommend it, because listen to the story, 21 days and you're receiving one video in that every day for 21 days and getting a prompt to have that to do as well. So you taking actions at the end, right? By the end of 21 days, I am sure 100% you will be wiser than you were before, right? So definitely you'll be a changed person. I love that. And your 6 week as well, that the every week 1-to-1 that you getting that with, it's amazing, phenomenal there. So I want to congratulate you as well whilst we are here for creating these wonderful programs, because I believe the world needs it. Definitely, whether they know it or not, they are listening to this, and if people are resonating with it, I'm telling everybody to now go and check it out, because if you're resonating with it, that's a calling already. I'm a huge person that follows my intuition, and if I feel the intuition to go check something out, and if you're feeling that intuition, the listeners now, you need to go and check it out. The intuition never lies. Yeah. So follow that. And thank you very much, Meriam, for sharing such an amazing journey and so much with that as well. So we talked about your self-care and journaling routines, and some people like to call it rituals and things like that. So what has now stuck with you for a long time? Is there something that you've changed or that doesn't serve you anymore, and some things that you're still doing, or you adapted some new rituals or routines? I know you said you wake up in the morning, you pray, journal, and meditate. What do you do then throughout the evening when you want to close the day? Because a lot of people find it difficult also to close their day, right? They find it a bit challenging.
So interesting question. Lately, with lately I mean a couple of months ago, I started journaling in the evening as well. And there's one sentence I write: the magic that happened today. And it doesn't matter if it's a friend who called me like, Meriam, I have a question, and we talk about it. Or someone told me, I'm getting married, and we celebrated together, the news together. That's the magic that I Today, the magic that I witness is our conversation.
Wow, amazing.
So that's something I'm doing since a couple of months. Um, Being grateful, doing a gratitude meditation, just for 1 minute. Like, I am grateful that I can share this with our audiences. You never know who will hear this, and you never know who knows someone who needs to hear this.
Exactly.
I'm grateful that people feel heard and seen by us. So those are the things that during the day, whenever something happens, I just take a few seconds, a minute, just a minute. I say, wow, I'm really grateful for this. Yeah. And I share those positive vibes with my friends, family, whomever wants to hear about it. Yeah.
Wow. Oh, that's quite interesting as well to then journal in the evening. So you're closing your day out and obviously picking one magic, and that could be anything
Yeah.
that resonates. That makes you how I'm listening to this is that lights your bulb up, right? Lights your bulb, right? You like when you're thinking, what's the magic, and your brain goes,
Yeah.
light goes up, you know. So I love this, and it's an amazing. Also, by the way, just to share that, because my mind works in pictures and movies. So every time I'm listening to a conversation or I'm having a conversation, my movie is already creating a Warner Brothers movie, right? So it's like a whole movie being played out, and I'm sitting down and watching it as a cinema, right? So and that's how I see these bulbs and all these things. So I'm very visual. So and that's why just to clear disclaimer out there, rather than people thinking, where's the bulb come from now? So that was in my movie that there was a bulb. When Miriam said magic, and the bulb went off. Yeah, because or I could have just thought of Tinkerbell doing dust. Magic, because that would be me. That would be me spending my time with my daughter, right, when she was young. That was there was lots of Peter Pan movies that time. So yeah, so that time it was exciting. So I mean, now when we are out and about, she just calls me a big little boy now. So even though I get more excited than her, it's like, oh, so like she thinks I'm a big little boy. But I've not let my inner child go away. Yeah, it did go away in certain times. What I wanted to bring to everybody who is listening to us now also is to also stay tuned with your inner child. Don't let it go away. We are obviously caregiving, we are looking after, we are immersed with everything which is around us at the moment. We are told by society that we just need to grind and do this, do that, to the point that you're just thinking of a train track and you're just like going straight. You're on that train track, and when's your next stop? You don't know when the stop comes, and you're like, where's the next thing? Great, fantastic, but don't lose the joy in that track that you're on. If you look to your left, what do you see? Are there mountains? Oh wow, fantastic patterns. What do you see on your right? Oh, there's a seaside. Okay, wow. I that's how I get excited anyway. So even though I'm driving, I love the traffic jams. I love traffic. Where people are like, oh, it's so much traffic. Okay, now if I'm in a rush, that's a different situation. But if I'm not, I love the traffic, because that gives me time to tune into myself, whether that's listening to music or trying to read number plates. So people watch what's happening. You read the number plates. There's like so many weird number plates out there. So you just entertain yourself. And I'm very good at that, to entertain myself. I can do this, and that I wanted to lighten everybody to take away from all our conversation today would be to don't let your inner child go away whilst you are doing everything else. Look after yourself. What I heard from you was, look after yourself first. Put your oxygen mask so that you are able to give the others the oxygen they need. Because if you're giving everybody else the oxygen and it's not on you, that would be pointless. They would never get the oxygen because you'd be struggling to put it on, And I love that you've shared that with us. No, before we finish this up soon, we should be wrapping this up soon and shortly. I wanted to ask you, what would you like to leave the guests that are watching us now live or listening to this later on as a podcast, as a wrap comment or something inspirational, whatever that is for you? What would that be?
There are two things, and the second one just came up.
Amazing.
And this goes for everyone, whether you're a caregiver or not. So all of us, you know, sometimes we experience that we are a bit tired, right? Then your battery is lower. So for instance, if your battery is 50%, right? And you've helped your loved one or someone else and you gave them 50%, know that you have given 100%. That's the first thing. And the second is, I'm going to read it because I don't want to miss a word. Okay?
Go for it.
Beliefs can help us or hurt us. Your beliefs become your thoughts. Your thoughts become your words. Your words become your actions. Your actions become your habits. Your habits become your values. Your values become your destiny. Mahatma Gandhi.
Wow. That is such an amazing wrap-up comment, and to be quoting Mahatma Gandhi, that's just brilliant. It's amazing. It was so fitting for this episode that we've just talked about all the way through, you know, from caregiving to inner child now, and everything in between. It's just amazing to wrap this conversation with that. So if everybody now wants to get in touch with you, they can obviously come to your Instagram profile. I will be tagging that to wherever I post. So is there any other places that you want them to go, or Instagram is okay because everything is there?
Session, I'm all over the place. They can find me on my website, meriamboldewijn.com. Facebook, Twitter, it's all Meriam Boldewijn. I'm on LinkedIn. So send me a message, send me a DM, send me an email, support@meriamboldewijn.com, and ask your question. But I do want to know from you, what did you think of this episode? Because I can talk for hours. I told you before, I can talk for hours.
No, I love this episode. I mean, as I do all my episodes, because it's designed to create inspiration, and I am taking away quite a lot by listening to you already. Is the boundary that I was listening to more often. You know, like, okay, I've already mastered the self-care side of things myself, as well as, you know, how I do it. So I do now and then, I'm able to create healthy boundaries with certain people. And listening to you, I was like, okay, you know, there are times I need to create those boundaries, and I'm getting better at it. But that was a good reminder for me to take away from what I heard, was, you know, to have that boundary. And the self-care, obviously, it's a word that gets thrown around a lot nowadays, you know, and some people think self-care is selfish. It's actually not selfish. You know, you need that self-care. I mean, and because I come from a tech background a lot, so I just use examples of phone. Now, the phone, obviously, if it had its arms and legs, how would you think it would do its self-care? Is by plugging itself back to the power point every time when it needs charging, right? It will do that itself. It won't wait for you. But obviously, it doesn't have that arms and legs to walk into the power point, right? So therefore, you have to pick it up and plug that phone to the charging point. So if you're waiting for that phone to be plugged in so that it can be fully charged, why you're not charging yourself fully? And I love that you mentioned, you know, if you had 50% and you help someone with that 50%, you've helped them 100% because that's what you had. And then now you need to go back and charge yourself, whatever that way is, whether that's a walk, whether that's writing. In my case, I love spas. I just go into the spa, you know, and I love walking as well. So I walk. If I feel that I as I said, I follow my intuition. So whatever my intuition is telling me to do that time. I love driving as well, so I go for a drive. Whatever is that mode, that time, that becomes me time. and I need to just do it. I need to do it. And that's what people need to, that's what I'm taking away. And I think that's what people need to also take away, as to hone into the self-care more, recharge yourself, refresh yourself, reset yourself, right? It's all about that. We do that with all the electronics we have at home, right? Oh, it's not working. What do we do? Turn it off and turn it back on.
Everybody's sitting like,
oh, it's good
at the dinner table.
Yes.
Yeah. Anything that brings you peace and ease. It doesn't matter. You decide what brings you ease and peace and do it. Even if it's for 5 minutes. Take time for your, because you deserve it.
I love that.
Those 5 minutes. Or do a breathing exercise. I mean, I recorded a breathing exercise, and it will be posted in a couple of weeks or next month on my YouTube channel. Just breathe. Just 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Consciously breathing. Yes, I love that. Love that. You know that, and you know, a lot of people just don't pay attention to that. So I would like to say thank you very much, Meriam, for sharing such an amazing journey here with us all. And definitely there's lots of takeaways for everybody who's been listening to us and watching us live as well. What I wanted to say to everybody here who's been with us all this time, if you had any aha moments or any inspiration or spark whilst you were listening to our conversation, now it's our duty, your duty, to share this with somebody else, to tag someone here, whoever came into your mind, because we don't know that who's gone to bed or woken up thinking of a better day. And if this episode had created that spark in you, it might just create that spark in them as well. And that's all we need, is a spark to get the person going. And they might just take that step that I've been thinking to take and not doing it. So thank you very much, Meriam, again. And thank you very much, everybody, as well. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.